welcome to So Much Fun. I want to talk to you today about mitering. Many times people feel like it's just too complicated to do. Really, it's pretty simple. So we're going to demonstrate 3 different projects where you can get that nice, perfect miter. These projects include linen napkins, a baby blanket, and a border for a quilt. Let's get started. We're going to start with linen napkins. And when you miter the corners on a linen napkin, you need to allow extra fabric for that hem. So let's just take an example of an 18-inch napkin. That's going to be your finished size, 18 inches. Well, then you'll need to cut the napkin 19.5 inches square rather than 18. You must allow for the hem. And normally it's a 1-inch hem, but we have that extra 1/4 of an inch so that we can turn it under before we do the stitching. So this is an example of just one part of a napkin where you've got the mitered corner, and then you can see that the stitching would be probably using what I refer to as an edge foot to be able to sew very close to the edge. So this could be either the right or the wrong side. When you look at the other side, you will see something like this. Obviously, you would want to use matching thread. You don't want to have it to show like it does here. So let's go through the steps in order to get this result. Like I say, when you're cutting out the fabric, you want to cut it 1.5 inches wider and longer than the finished size. And after you do that, then you're going to press. And when you press, you need to press 1.25 inches. Remember that the desired depth of the hem is 1 inch. So you have that extra 1/4 of an inch for turning it under so that you'll have a nice finish on your hem. Now, when you do that, here's a corner showing that you press just each edge, and I usually go clockwise. I'll press one side, then I'll open up the corner, turn it around, and then press the next side, and I just continue the 4 sides. So I have a nice 1.25 inch pressing of the hem on all 4 sides. Now, this next step. You're going to go back to those corners where you've pressed 1.25 inch, and at the corner itself, you're going to bring that edge in, and it's going to look like this. Where you've pressed, you'll have a crease, and so you're going to match up that crease on each of the sides, and that's pressed really at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to put it like this so you can kind of get an idea. 45-degree angle, and you want to press that really good, all right, because the reason you want to do that is so then you'll take that and turn it over, and again you're going to match up the creases of the 2 sides. You're going to put the 2 creases together, and that's where you're going to stitch. Here's an example of how it will be when you do that. I've already pressed it more than once here. So we'll hold it together like this, and you see that's actually a 45-degree angle, and you'll stitch it, and then you'll trim it about a 1/4 of an inch. You should trim it, and you want to trim at the point. You want to kind of angle that as well so you won't have that extra bulk. You'll turn it right side out, and then this is what you'll have. You be sure you have that trimmed as well so that you can evenly distribute the bulk. And then you're all set to do your stitching, whether you do a straight stitch, a zigzag stitch, a decorative stitch, it really doesn't matter. But I think you'll be pleased with the results and that you can see that it's not that difficult. I'm going to repeat it one more time just in case, and we'll go real slow. You press the 2 sides, all the sides actually, press all the sides of your napkin 1.25 inches. After you press that, then you're going to open up at each corner, take it one at a time, you bring that corner over, at a 45-degree angle. Those creases are important where you press because they show you where you are to sew. So you're going to take it and fold it together where the creases are, laying it on top of each other like that, and then you'll be ready to stitch right on the crease. Once you've done that, then you're going to have this kind of a situation. This is what it's going to look like right here. And then you're going to turn that right side out and you'll have your 45-degree angle. I don't know if y'all have ever seen a package where it says it's satin blanket binding. It's not really satin, it's polyester, but that doesn't matter. This is what you can use to put a border around, most often, a baby blanket. And it is approximately 4 inches wide, but it's adding 2-inch border around all 4 sides. I don't know that you see it as often as you used to, but it's pretty simple. I think people can be really intimidated by this, but it isn't that difficult at all. And I'm just using an 8-inch square of fabric, all right? And you just take whatever the size is that you want for your blanket, and then you're going to measure your ribbon the same amount. You're going to mark, this one is 8 inches. So from this point to this point is 8 inches. The width of the ribbon from where the crease is 2 inches. So you measure from the point back 2 inches and make a mark. From the point, come back 2 inches and make a mark. And then you draw a line from that mark to the point, all right? From the edge where you've marked your 2-inch to the point where the crease is, you draw a line. Then you just fold your ribbon back on top of itself, like this. You get it all lined up, like that. And you've got lines there to help you out, and you're going to stitch right on the line, just right on top of it. Of course, you're going to have to trim it off about 1/4 of an inch, and then turn it right side out. Here's one, we've got it stitched. When we turn that right side out, then you're going to, you can tell, you'll fold it out again. This, of course, hasn't been trimmed. Then once that's done, you do all 4 corners. Where the end of the ribbon is, you want that to line up with the corner. In other words, this isn't that way. What I'm saying is, you don't want, like this comes to there, that means the other end should come to here. So you'll cut it so it's exactly the size of the blanket. So you'll start out, cut end, do your 3 corners, and then the last one you'll make a miter with it. And in that case, I'm just going to keep this together here, like that. You'll cut it. You cut that off, and then you just bring them together. I've got it marked, and I should cut it a little bit shorter than that, it appears. But you can see there it is with your lines drawn, and then you're ready to sew. But when you're putting that in, you just slip your blanket inside the ribbon. And there's a difference in the width, actually. One side is a little bit narrower than the other, and that's the side you want to sew. You want to sew on the top side where it's not quite as wide as the other side. And that way you can do a decorative stitch. Most of the time that's what I see. I see decorative stitches. You just slip that thing in there and sew all the way around. And I'm not doing a very good job there, am I? But I think you get the point that the blanket goes inside the trim once you have completed all 4 corners. And then you're ready to do your decorative stitch, and it will definitely catch the underneath side because the underneath side is a little bit wider. Now let's look at the idea of mitering a quilt with borders. So when you normally, if you're not mitering, you just sew, this is the example of the border, you just sew the border so it is the same length as the quilt top. But we're not going to do that. We are going to miter. So this would not be correct. This is not for mitering. This is what people normally do. So let's look at a corner where you have your fabric placed for mitering. When you're doing mitering, you want to take the number of what the width is of your border. In this example, it's 4.5 inches. So you will extend the fabric 4.5 inches. Whatever the width of the border is, you extend beyond the quilt top that amount, and both sides should be the same. So that once, we'll just fold this, put a pin in here so you can see that once that's stitched, that would come up and they would both be the same. So you're going beyond the quilt top, the width of the border. That's what you have to remember. However wide your border is, that's how far you extend the border beyond the edge of the quilt top. Now, you stop, by the way, when you sew that on, you should stop exactly 1/4 of an inch. So when you're stitching, you do not stitch all the way to the edge of the quilt top. You stop 1/4 of an inch from that corner. Important point. Now let's turn around and look at the next corner. In this corner, that's exactly what I've done. I'm going to put this back, and you're going to see 1/4 of an inch on each side where we've stopped. All right, and then you just take one of the pieces and you have it flat. The other piece, you fold it back at a 45-degree angle, and all you're doing is you're folding from that corner to the other corner, corner to corner. That is a 45-degree angle, and you press that. Be real good about your pressing. It's a nice crease, because then you just fold this back. You have your crease, that's your stitching line. From this point at the quilt top where they come together all the way to the outer corner. And when you do that, fold that back. I want to turn this around here. Here's your mitered corner. Now look underneath, you're going to see you've got all this fabric. You will want to trim it away, again at a 1/4 of an inch. And then like right here at the point, trim back a little bit so that this will not show. But I can open this up here and you can see there's your mitered corner. Very, very easy. It's just the key points are knowing the width of your border, that you extend it beyond the top edge the same amount, and that you stop at your corners when you're sewing your borders on 1/4 of an inch, and then that you take one of those, fold it underneath so it goes from that point to the corner or the edge of the border. That's all there is to it. I hope this video will be helpful for you as you do your projects. Please subscribe and like, and have so much fun.